Hi, this is Jeff. You're going to be getting the outline for Class 2 PDF. You should watch this around the second week of the class, and after you've done the first levels of homework and discussion boards and things like that, and it should make more sense to you. And I'll try to go through this a little more quickly than I did the last one. I think it took a little too long, and maybe it wasn't that necessary. So let's start with the first page. Is just a list of what we're going to talk about in this one. Go right to page 2, ICT Concept Review. You should have figured out by now, and you should have, by doing the work on the ICTs, where we talked about that ICTs have been transformative. That's a pretty big word, but it really has transformed society. We're not riding around with jetpacks yet, but it's transformed everyday life. And if you use your cell phone all the time, or Facebook, or send your bills by mail, or really work at home, or take classes online, you know it has been literally transformative, changed society. So will that happen, or is that happening around the world? The answer is definitely yes. Is it empowering new human potential? Probably. We're getting new things, and there's people all over the world who are now a part of the global marketplace who weren't before, and the ICT revolution certainly has a possibility of being a big part of it. The next sentence is very important to think about: limiting thinking and perspectives. I asked this question in the essay: do ICTs actually limit you? And the answer has to be yes. But most people don't think about it that way. They think, oh, it gives us all these opportunities. But as soon as you use a tool, it narrows yourself down to what you can do with that tool. And if you're in design or a writer, or whatever you do with the internet or with computers, and you sit down and that's the way you work, it actually is limiting you to what the possibilities are. It may feel unlimited, but it's probably limiting you. And that's one thing. Means that all of us have to try to break away from the patterns that we use technology and all the time to sit down with a piece of paper for a change. Go sit outside. Go look at a tree. Try thinking about things in different contexts or different perspectives, not always with the computer or not always with the answer somewhere on the internet. Go look at a book or look in a library. And it means maybe it's not that important right now to you or to this class, but this is something I have to include if we're going to talk about ICTs, because it is an important concept. Accessible, adaptable, certainly all the technology has been that way, and three of the things down there which are mentioned, which make that happen. The open platform of the PC, very important part of the computer revolution, was that anybody could write software. Any software writer could write software for Windows. And we had a platform that was around the world. It wasn't agreed upon or a monopoly on purpose, but just the cheapest, simplest way to get into the computer revolution. And every business or every organization, anybody that did anything, somebody developed software specifically for that business, whether it's changing oil in cars, or medical office, or dental office, making appointments, or reserving rooms in a hotel. That we had that open platform made it possible to transform the world using these new technologies with low skill adaptation. You really didn't have to have a lot of skills once you knew how to use Windows to learn how to use a computer for renting hotel rooms, or for running a business, or almost anything else that the software was developed for. Okay, so basic concepts of ICTs telling us it's transformative, it's very important, and again, nobody organized it. There's no government in charge or no company in charge of the whole thing. It just happened through a variety of circumstances, but really has transformed things. Let's go to the next page, globalization. Hopefully you looked at Tom Friedman already, one of his videos talking about globalization, and you should understand by now. It's a process. It took some time. It relied on transportation, communication, lots of different technologies developing quickly or over time. It's a global system. Is there an authority over globalization? Not really, although the WTO, World Trade Organization, does have some authority over trade. It has its advantages and disadvantages. You're going to write about that or talk about that on the discussion board and on some writing assignments, but you should certainly think about it. The advantages: low prices for people through Walmart and other places that get their labor in China. Disadvantages: well, we have to change our economy in the United States dramatically, right? There's no more easy ways to make a middle-class living with a high school diploma, right? You have to find ways to really get trained, really use all your skills, and keep learning throughout your life. That's a lot harder than it used to be to do everyday life to a middle-class existence, but You have to do that if you want stability. And you're going to hear the word stability from me over and over again. Middle class stability around the world. That's what people crave. Knowing what's going to happen every day, having expectations that your savings are going to be valuable, that you can save for something in the future, prepare. All those things are part of the rising middle class around the world. Does it have its sacrifice, its costs, its benefits? Certainly. Globalization has all those things. Is it a challenge? It's a big challenge for even a society like ours to adapt to new circumstances. Do you want to be the #1 economy in the world or the #2 economy in the world? Well, China's #2. Would they like to be #1? Perhaps. But with #1 comes responsibility, leadership, all of those things. And people say, well, why are we messing around and around the world, Afghanistan, Iraq, maybe Syria? Why do we take roles for these things? Why don't we fix everything at home first? Well, that's one view of things, but a lot of people and experts would agree and say, if you're a leader, if you're the global leader in the economy, in military, you have to take a role in those things if you want to stay the global leader. Right? You want to stay the global leader because it has great advantages. #1 advantage of anybody who's the leader is you can make the rules. You even break the rules if you want because you're the leader, but we do it too. We make them and break them. But global leadership has huge advantages and challenges for us too. Does globalization benefit development? The answer's got to be yes. There's big advantages for development. It means that we can import from around the world, we can export to the whole world. The developing countries have the opportunity to be a part of a global economy. It's difficult. It's not easy. It takes some time. It's going to cause some disruption, but it is happening. And you'll see more about that in Commanding Heights when we start watching it. Just to talk about the Cold War a little bit. Somewhat unexpected. That's a little bit of an understatement. Outcome of World War II. Some people knew it was coming. Others didn't know for sure. But certainly one major conclusion of it is what I say right there. The technology paid off. Right, all those investments in technology, part of the Cold War, the space race, paid off in huge numbers. Right, all of the computer and ICT technology and Tang. Don't forget Tang. All made a big difference to us today. So, and also the Cold War ended without a major war between the superpowers. It could have ended differently. Thankfully, it didn't. But we're happy for that. But millions died and millions were spent around the world during the Cold War. So there were wars all over. The Vietnam War counts as part of the Cold War. The Korean War counts as part of the Cold War. Central America's conflicts in the 80s. Part of the Cold War, our invasions of lots of places. Go look it up and see how many places we invaded and how many places we supplied arms and weapons around the world. You'll see it in the Cold War video. But it was all because we felt there was a global conflict between the United States and the Soviet Union. So make sure you do your reading and your work on that and your oral history project, and you'll understand the significance of it. But the next point is the most significant for our class. Developing countries used as pawns and deliberately stifled in their development. Right? They didn't have institutions built. They didn't have education deployed. They didn't have industries created. They were just used by us and the Soviet Union as pawns in the Cold War. So think of those 45 years after World War II, when many countries developed and did great. Think how Japan and Germany were rebuilt and turned into world powerhouses in economics and industry, and developing countries were not, right? They were used as pawns for the Cold War. So it's taken a long time to catch up, and they're still working on it. And just as a digression at the end, the war in Iraq could still have long-term positive consequences, right? We don't know what's going to happen in 20, 30 years, what it's going to be like, but remember, if you are ready to take your vacation, spring break in Iraq in a few years, or your children do, then you'll say, hey, we helped make that happen. Well, we'll see. I can't tell you what's going to happen. Next page about Cold War oral history. Hope you've started this, or you'll do it soon. It's just a nice, I think, exercise to get you to do something different rather than reading or watching video. Go talk to somebody who remembers the Cold War, and find out about it from them. what it was like for everyday life, what things they remember, what was significant about it. It can bring vividly the material to you personally. So that's one of the reasons we make assignments like this. So write about it on the discussion board. Tell us who you talked to, what they talked about, what their memories were. Some people say, I don't remember anything about it, or it wasn't significant to me. I was oblivious, stuff like that. Or Vietnam, I didn't think about it when it was happening, or I never thought about the atomic bomb. But some people will have pretty strong memories about it. So get your materials, get your questions, and do it, and post it on the discussion board. We'll see the variety of things that people post about it. All right, so let's go on to ICTs and development, the interesting part of our class, really. So addressing the living standards through ICTs, improving all of these things, infrastructure, government, education, health, food security, business. Can it be done? The answer is certainly yes. Is it difficult? Is it time-consuming? Is it expensive? Yes, all those things is the answer to all those things. We'll have a couple of readings starting this week or this week. I'll put them on the board for you to look at, which deal with some of the basic concepts about technology. It's called the diffusion of technology. That means the dispersion or getting new technologies out to the people. It follows some interesting patterns, and it's the basic research or the basic theory behind how to get new technology out that's going to change people's lives. And so we're going to look at that next. Last slide, the second to last slide, or the next one is ICTs and development. Again, the ICTs are not the means in themselves, but a means to improving standard of living, improving education, health, agriculture, government, business. When you deploy ICTs in a society, when people get access to computers, software, the internet, will also include cell phones, smartphones, Android, Apple, all those things in that category. It has the potential to improve all those things. And you probably can name a couple of those, name a couple of ways at least that it has done that for you or for your family or people you know. Now, to picture it in a developing country is a little difficult. We're going to have some, if you haven't been there, I've been to a few developing countries, so I know more about it, but I'm going to give you some videos to watch, which will help you to know more about it. Maybe even some of the people in our class will be able to talk about it from their own experience. That usually happens at La Roche. Okay, so we'll talk about ICTs and development. Last slide, important concept for really everybody in every field today. And you've heard it, you know it, and you love the term, sustainability. And here's one definition of it: investments for long-term growth and improvement, meeting the needs of the present without compromising the future. Sustainable development, sustainable energy, education, agriculture, business, everything today revolves around the term sustainability. Why? Well, mostly because we didn't do it in the past. Pittsburgh's a good example of a place that is not really aware of or cognizant of the significance of or importance of sustainability when we had factories or steel or chemical plants where they left the poisons, the pollution, the waste in the ground. Yeah, deal with it later. Put them in 55-gallon drums, left them in the back of the factories. Well, no, not important now. And now we have something called brownfields, places where the factories are gone and all that's left is the pollution. And we've got to clean it up before we can use it for anything. So that's not sustainability. Sustainability is taking care of what you're doing, making sure it can keep on going. And it's just like a business. What do you want a business to do? Take in enough money, enough profit to keep going the next week, month, year, maybe for generations. Agriculture, you don't want to ruin the land through growing one crop. Business, you don't want to get all the profit out today so there's no profit, nothing left tomorrow. Energy, okay, you want to have energy. We all want to have electricity, but do we want to raise the level of global warming so that our chances of living with stability on the planet go down? No, we probably don't want to do this. The most important thing now for our class is sustainable development. Donations, grants, and aid are meant to be one-time infusions of funds, of cash, of assistance, not to create a dependency, but to create a system that can then sustain itself. That's the most important aspect of that. So think about it and read about it, and we'll be talking about it on discussion boards, sustainability. All right, thanks for watching. Get back to you soon. Bye-bye.